A follow-up from DTE experience where they were here last year and they trampled over a bush that was there at the telephone pole, and they said they had to change it. See, the old one that was in the ground, the part that was in the ground is right next to the new one over there. I'll go take a closer look, but it was in good shape. But looks like they broke a water main, and they were being pretty intense with it. I was worried about it when they dropped the old one on the cement. I could hear it in the house and feel the little vibration, and I'm like, oh great, they're gonna, at least in the winter we're gonna have some kind of water main break. But it looks like we got one right away here. You see the water's going down the street, down into the drain over there. There's a new telephone pole, and there's the base of the old one. The water's just streaming out of this hole here. Thankfully, they didn't hurt the cedar so far. And water's streaming out of this hole right next to the fire hydrant. Everyone here likes to park. A lot of people here like to park in front of, and people look the other way about that. But and now it's streaming out of water. So see what happens. Hopefully our water isn't all shut off here. And no doubt the city's on their way, and that's always a fiasco. So again, this is a follow-up from last year. This is May 20th, and DT's here. Ripped out the old telephone pole that I don't think needed to be ripped out. They left the one behind us that looks a lot worse than this one did, that's for sure. And it's out in the alleyway right now. But they also broke a water main. Looks like here the water's just been streaming out of the hole. And I was wondering if they even did damage in the street, because the old post they dropped pretty hard. And I didn't really think that this needed to be changed, but the guys were so punkish last year. They just showed up, and when I asked them to please be careful of a little cedar bush I had planted next to the the pole, which I maintain, I have to maintain, or you get a ticket from the city of Hamtramck. Go in Hamtramck court. Literally, that's happens to people all the time, and myself over the years. But so I'm allowed to plant a small bush for some greenery, I would say. But they just refused to not step on it, So I ended up moving it, and it's surviving, but it's like all the neighbors' dogs are peeing on it, and people walk by, and you can kind of make it out there. I should have walked up to it while I was out there. I did a whole replanting series on that, but I didn't even post that and share it. Some things I just kind of getting caught up with. But anyway, again, it's DTE. They just seem, especially in our city, they just seem to really, act like, warlords in a strange land or something, It's like my other property has been damaged several times by them, and they're their pole. I have a telephone pole on the other property. I get tickets for the grass growing, so I have to cut it. They never cut it. There's a vine that grows up. That's been a issue at the other property, 1938 Belmont, for many years. And you can look into records. It's like a beautiful vine back there, but they ticket for it growing, and DTE doesn't do anything about it. So these telephone poles and these intermediary spaces between the street are, I think, a contested place, because you have consequences for not upkeeping it, and whatever, and you don't even get the right here to even park there per se and have that be your parking space. But you end up in court if you don't cut the lawn and maintain it in whatever way. And the bushes and the trees on there, there's other people who don't prune at all, and they don't seem to ever get a ticket. And I have a few bushes at the other house, and I've got tickets and documents about this and photos, but they drag me into court with pictures of my forsythia bushes in the intermediary space, and just for even just coming over into the sidewalk by an inch or two. And anyway, so there's just so much kind of crazy power plays going on in the city and area, and once you start talking about it, and I've talked about it in many ways the last 30 some years, people just gang up on you and attack you, and do whatever they can to character assassinate you, and look what happens here. I just asked these guys to not step on our cedar, and now we got a hole with our water just leaking out, our city tax water, and down the drain. Thank you, DTE. Right now, and I made comments on this on their webpage on Facebook, and I always get really negative people coming on, but defending DTE, but they show the same day that they're here without masks over the last year. They have these, events in other towns in Michigan where they're all masked up, and these commercials where they're all masked up, and then the same day, I'm like, you're here right now in Hamtramck without masks, swearing in our streets, causing, constant vandalism, basically. And I just got that grass growing there over the last 2 years, filled it with dirt, and man, they look at what they did to it again. So, and they just want you to pay. And I installed 2 solar lights today. Call that the karma of today. I installed 2 solar lights on the side of our house, and I'll show you those in just a minute. So I'm walking out here again, outside of the house. But here's the cedar that I had to transplant. Actually, the 3rd, 4th time I've transplanted that cedar. It's more like a sea green variety, creeping. And again, you can see the water just leaking down the street and into the drain. They made sure to even spray paint everything, so they got all this spray paint and flags telling them where everything is, and still they broke our city main. Let's see, these are the solar lights I installed today. I've installed many solar lights and various apparatus over the years, and the technology is getting better and more inexpensive. And I had to construct those plates. They're like plaques to sit into the grooves well and make it flush and give it a way to catch the light, just the right angle. So I worked on those plaques for a couple weeks, and been charging these lights for a while now, actually. You see, we got a bunch of ferns here. This makes so much good oxygen. We got some beautiful columbine in bloom here. This spreads really nicely. A rue, meadow rue, native plant, barberry, hosta, Solomon seal, a beautiful native plant. So you can say we're eco-minded here, we got rain barrels, but we gotta get ourselves, more independent and stop this stuff where we're paying for everybody, having everyone to pay for this stuff, for DTE. Now if you can see DTE down the street. And we're always trying to keep people out of our garden. Well, DT broke the main water main, and now we got several hours later. It's about 3 o'clock almost now. The city hand traffic finally showed up, and looks like they're thinking about what they're going to do here. Well, thanks to DTE now, we don't have any water either. They turned off the water main finally. Water was spewing out there, and they've been struggling with this. Now I'm hearing some dripping downstairs. I don't know what's going on. Not sure why, but we have no water except for water is dripping out of our washing machine here. Something else all over this light post out there that really didn't even need to be changed anyway. The DTE worker asked us to run our tub for 20 minutes to flush the system. Sorry, the plumber worker, I don't know what business they were exactly. See, it's pretty nasty. Thank you, DTE. No, nothing's coming out. This all goes down our pipe. You can see they wrapped this thing around our tree here. And this is the result of DTE trying to put a new telephone pole in here, replacing one that was fine. I don't know what the deal is about this spot. There's so much contention over this telephone pole and fire hydrant spot. Everyone in the block wants to park here in front of this fire hydrant, and I have to maintain the grass. People want to look the other way. Well, fire hydrant and park there, and then there's a bazillion handicap spots. People walking all over the city and they got a handicap spot. And the handicap fraud here is just crazy. Well, these people here, these neighbors, know each other from the same countries, and they think that it's their right to like park in front of this fire hydrant, and they like ganging up against us because they think we're calling the police. Police are just doing their job. That's pretty sick.